Peace, family, and welcome to another episode of Underground Railroad Radio. This is your host, Brother Rich, and I'm joined once again by the living legend, Professor Griff. Welcome to the show, brother.
Peace, Brother Rich, and I'm glad to be black on the show with you. All right, so what's good with you?
Well, I'm good. I'm chilling, brother. Last week you made me continue to do research. You did such a phenomenal job with the research that you did last week with our show with the Nixon's top aide and his confession. That I was like, let me look further into this, because you was throwing some heavy stats at us that you told us to go look up ourselves. So I was basically looking some stuff up. So I guess today is going to be like a continuation or part two. But instead of talking about the war on drugs, I seen this interesting article. Well, it's from several publications, but the publication that I read from, I want to give them props to Daily Beast. It was an interview. They was interviewing Snoop, the rapper, Snoop Dogg, and Snoop Dogg had mentioned that Ronald Reagan was to blame for LA gang violence. So I said, damn. I said, let me talk to Griff about because growing up I always heard the term Reaganomics. And, we was talking about Nixon last week. I said, let me talk to Griff about this whole gang thing. Because, we always see it constantly come up with Chi-Town. They call it Chirac. And I just wanted to touch on it. But based on what Snoop, let me read to the people what Snoop said before I start the questions with Professor Griff. In this article, Snoop said, where is it at? Early in the 70s and toward the latter part of the 70s, everything was beautiful because we had ways to have fun and communicate. And those who were underprivileged, the low economic side of life, the government would provide for us, which helped us get by. It was a society, and we all needed it, and we all had it, and we all helped each other. Then when Reaganomics kicked in, certain things were taken away, after-school programs and things of that nature. Guns and drugs were shipped into the neighborhood. So it was a shift of having fun and playing football to selling drugs and shooting at each other. To me, it was a system that was designed because when Reaganomics ever began, that's when this began. So I guess just to start out with, Professor Griff, for the family out there, we got a lot of young listeners and we got a lot of older listeners who may not know. Could you tell us what exactly, when people say Reaganomics, and Snoop said this things started to happen when Reagan came in office, because all of this is happening. It's funny, we're talking about this, and we was talking about the war on drugs, and Nancy Reagan just passed away. So people was making a lot of jokes about her being the top drug dealing first lady to ever exist. So people was already making jokes about that. But in reference to what Snoop is saying, and what people have been saying, but I just wanted to use this article as an example. What exactly was Reaganomics and what it meant to the black community?
I think the relationship between Reaganomics, and the black community had a lot to do with the platform that Ronald Reagan ran on, and not only the platform, but the things that he was going to implement once he became president. Now, we need to keep in mind that Ronald Reagan was an actor. You understand what I'm saying? I think Ronald Reagan was playing the role of president, but I think it was those people that was behind the scenes that put forth a program, and I think Reagan signed off on it, and they coined the term Reaganomics. It was an economic plan that would make the average American that was considered American in America, and you know what that means when they say that. That means white person, the white man and the white woman in America, to make their lives better. Simply because some of the things that Ronald Reagan put down, in which one of the things that he put down is what Snoop said, he kind of vilified the black community. And one of the things that he kind of instituted was just this whole idea of Reaganomics, which actually shut down the whole cultural infrastructure that black people had set up. Snoop was absolutely correct with what he said. When Ronald Reagan instituted those particular programs, it shut down culturally, and it shut down black people culturally, and it shut down some of the subsidies that black people would receive from the government. Now, they looked at it as government handouts. But as I read to you last week, some of the stats, white women receive more assistance from the government than black women do. So did black people benefit from Reaganomics and the plan that Reagan had for black people in America? Absolutely not. They stripped away, as Bill Clinton did, it stripped away some of the things that black people rightfully deserved in America by getting aid from the United States government. It stripped those things away. And Reagan did not have any qualms about doing that. Reagan did not give a fuck about black people, and we need to understand that. So the question now becomes, was Reagan, to you, Brother Rich, was Reagan a Democrat or Republican?
Shit, it don't matter to me.
Thank you, exactly. And that's the answer that I was looking for. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because under Reagan, we lost a whole hell of a lot. Under Bill Clinton, we lost a whole hell of a lot. And a lot of us went to jail. In the covenant with death by William Cooper, who will behold the pale horse. He said all that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do absolutely nothing, Brother Rich. And that was from Edwin Burke in William Cooper's book, Behold the Pale Horse. So when evil triumphs, you'll find a lot of good people doing absolutely nothing to defend the masses of people, especially black people, against evil people like Ronald, Wilson, Reagan, which is 6 letters in each name, which Ronald Wilson Reagan represented 666, which represented the devil himself.
Now I've interviewed Freeway Ricky Ross on my radio before, and he mentioned Iran-Contra scandal. Could you brief us on what that was about for those who may not know the Iran-Contra affair?
Well, the Iran it's a lot deeper than what I could say in this particular interview, but the Iran-Contra scandal basically started out with the Ayatollah Khomeini and on Jimmy Carter's watch taking the hostages simply because of America's foreign and our domestic policies. Well, we have to know and understand that the foreign policies of the United States government is an extension of the domestic policies. So when the Ayatollah Khomeini took the hostages, it was on Jimmy Carter's watch, and he was left with the duty and responsibility of freeing the hostages from Iran. Now, we have to ask the question, why did Iran take the hostages? A lot of people say Iran, and I hope I'm not confusing people. So when Iran took the hostages, what Iran wanted to do was to put back in place the rulership that would rule the people of Iran in a just manner. Why do I say that, Brother Rich? Simply because the CIA and America's military installed a dictator in Iran, and that dictator was the Shah, like my last name, the Shah, S-H-A-H. They installed the Shah and took the Shah in as the ruler in Iran, and the young people and the people in the streets outright rejected the Shah. And when they rejected the Shah, there was an uprising in Iran, and they took the hostages, and now America had to negotiate to get the hostages back. So when the Iran-Contra scandal took place, that led into the whole idea of America changing her foreign policy. So when Bush got into office, he said, we're not going to negotiate with the terrorists. And Iran became one of the notorious terrorists, as they are now, on the planet, only because America said so. But at the same time, Brother Rich, and I know I'm being lengthy with this, but it's hard to tell you that in the short period of time that we had. But at the same time, Brother Rich, the United States government, through her foreign policy and through the CIA, was funding Iran and arming Iran in a war with Iraq. They were funding both sides, Brother Rich. 1 million people died in that war. between Iran and Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand later on in the scandal that took place, it was money, weapons, drugs, and a few other things that they used in the particular scandal at that particular time that made Jimmy Carter look like a hero in the scandal. But the scandal was they was arming both sides of that war, and they wanted to get rid of both sides having a fight and kill one another. And America, Britain, Israel, and a lot of people say, well, what did Israel have to do with that? Go back and do your research. Blood is dripping from the hands of all of those people that took place in that particular scandal, and Israel was one of the hidden hands in it all.
Do you think it's sort of a contradiction or a bit of a hypocrisy for Snoop? I was reading some of the comments, and some of the people felt it was a little bit hypocritical for Snoop to talk about that, being that he's I guess a member of the Crips. So for him to talk about what Reagan did in gangs, and him to, kind of, I guess they feel as though he promotes being a Crip by wearing the blue rag. Do you think it's a bit of hypocrisy on his part?
I wouldn't say that, Brother Rich. And let's just be real with one another. All of us know somebody that's gang affiliated. You understand what I'm saying? Sure, I do. Mm-hmm. Crips and Bloods. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite myself and say what Snoop was saying is being hypocritical because he promotes he promotes his gang affiliation. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not going to be a hypocrite. But I'm saying, in a way, are we all being a little hypocritical? Let's be very, very honest with one another, Brother Rich, at this stage of the game in this interview. Let's name some of the gangs that you and I belong to. I'm revered by the brothers in RBG, Red, Black, and Green, revolutionary but gangster. I'm gang affiliated, you understand what I'm saying? Those are my people. You understand what I'm saying? I fucked around here this morning when you sent me or this afternoon, when you sent me the subject matter, I listened to Cool and the Gang. Shit, I'm gang affiliated. I love Gangstar. Shit, I'm gang affiliated. You understand what I'm saying? So let's just be real with one another. All of us belong to those group of men, or those society of men and women that act as our family, whether they call them gangs or whatever they call them, whether they wear a certain kind of color or whatever. My color is black. My gang wear black. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we about that business of fearing the minds of our people. We're not about that other stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to be very real with one another. Your parents, my parents, belong to gangs. My mom was a Baptist to the core. That was her crew. When she went to church, she was gangbanging. You understand what I'm saying? They sang all the songs. They wore the same colors. You understand what I'm saying? So in a way, all of us belong to that extended family that some people would call a gang, Brother Rich. But when you're talking about the Democrat and Republican Party, who represent the blue and the red, the Democrats blue and red, Republicans left the red. Now, it's ironic that the movie Colors came out, and they took the colors from the Republican and Democratic Party and gave them to those particular fractions or factions that were there in L.A., and now they're gangbanging and warring over turf that they don't own.
Yeah.
And it's very critical. I think it was a psyops, Brother Rich. I think it was a psychological operation. I visit places that are so damn backwards in country, but they got gangs now. I'm like, how did this happen? Y'all got manicured lawns and shit. You only see one another once every other day because you live too far apart. In order for y'all to gangbang, you got to get a ride by your mom.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm seeing this, and I'm looking at the psyops, psychological operation, and how it's working in these small black communities, and it's designed that way. I believe the best way I can say it, Brother Rich, to answer that question very directly, Minister Farrakhan said it best in Justifiable Homicide, the Black Youth in Peril, Part 1 and Part 2, when he talked about the injustice imbalances the mind, Brother Rich. When we don't get justice, it does something to us, and then we internalize it, and we want to get justice. And we tend to see it, all of us are victims of this, Brother Rich. We feel we're going to get justice one way or the other. So we look up with people that feel, think, and understand us, and we go take care of that business. Minister Farrakhan said justice is symbolically represented by a female with a blinder on and with scales in her hand. The scales are not supposed to be tipped any degree to the right or to the left. They are supposed to be balanced, because when things are imbalanced, there is equality and then there is justice. But she has a blindfold on. Now, I don't want to dive too deep into the symbology of that. You understand what I'm saying? I think I'm going to stick with what Minister Farrakhan gave us, that justice is blind. And Brother Rich, there was another black man shot down, I believe, in Minneapolis, and it was on the news this evening, that the cops that was accused of wrestling with this brother ended up shooting him in the dome.
Wow.
Was found innocent. So right now they take it to the streets in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Minister Farrakhan said there is a conspiracy that blows the minds of sane people. It is unthinkable that somebody would plan to kill an entire people. You couldn't even see. He said we don't even think like that, Brother Rich. But we should not. We should not relax our guard one bit and think that other people don't think that way, because they do think that way, and they put a plan in place to bring that about. He says where there is no justice, there will be no peace. And soon the law of retaliation may very well be applied. We don't retaliate one way or the other, but it almost seems like we're imploding and we're taking it out on one another. How are we doing that? I see these damn Negroes every goddamn week when I do research, Brother Rich, talking about black on black crime. And I offered up a challenge last year on your show, Brother Rich, and I told people, I'll pay you $1,000 if you could call 678-557-2919 and prove to me that more black people kill black people than white people. They can't do it. Right. White people kill us in ways unimaginable, Brother Rich. He says us killing us is not justified. And Minister Farrakhan is right. It's unjustified. But white folks try to justify it using their law, using silly, stupid statistics, and they always got an expert on this and a goddamn expert on that. You understand what I'm saying? And this is very real. And Minister Farrakhan laid it out in the Justifiable Homicide, Black Youth in Peril, and we need to study that and put what Minister Farrakhan said under the microscope.
What do you think when we talk about gangs, in the black community? A lot of people automatically go back to the root of the black community, which is the black family, and a lot of people feel as though the problems that exist within the community is a direct result of a single parent household, a missing father, and especially if it's a male. They feel like when the male is missing in a household, it definitely, it hurts the male and the female in different ways. One way it could hurt the male is he could go out, join a gang because he's looking for that love from an older male or that bond for males. And my question to you, Professor Griff, is that what do you think is a possible solution to this single parent household thing that we got going on within our culture, which is almost the norm at this point? It's just like that's the norm. That to have two parents is not normal, and to have one parent is normal. At least from what I see. Somebody may be listening and say, "Nah, Brother Rich, that's not right." I know a lot of households, but the households I know, the majority of them are single parent households. So what do you think is some solutions to not get caught for those who are young and they're trying, and they didn't start a family yet, and they don't want to get up in this, they don't want to get caught up in this single parent household web that has been created for the black community. What do you think are some possible solutions for that? I mean, well, let me just say this real quick. Real quick, Griff. Somebody did say, I heard some people say that to wait till marriage to have sex, but then a lot of people feel as though that's unrealistic for people these days. So I just want to throw that out there. But go ahead, Professor Griff.
I think, Brother Rich, that our elders and now some of our ancestors have gave us the solutions. You and I do not need to get on this interview and try to sound like we intelligent and give facts and figures and stats and all that stuff like we coming up with something new. What is wrong with standing on the shoulders of the ancestors like Dr. Amos Wilson and Dr. Francis Cress Wilson? What's wrong with standing on the shoulders of elders like Dr. Claude Anderson, Boyce Watkins, and other brothers and sisters that have given us the stats? There's nothing wrong with that, with edifying and honoring one another. Dr. Francis Cress Wilson said, well, Queen of Ford said we should walk 4 seasons with one another. There's Minister Farrakhan and Abraham Muhammad and other brothers and sisters have said, of course, we should wait till we get married until we are mentally prepared to be fathers and uncles and can keep a family together. Dr. Francis Cress Wilson said we should wait till we're mature, 38 to 40 years old, before we start having children, especially males. And then we should have 2, no more than 3 children, 2 to 4 years apart. We should get schooling out of the way. We should get a lot of things out of the way before we even think, Brother Rich, about putting a family together. Because once you start doing that, it takes your time and your focus away from other things. We have to adequately be able to provide for children. We have to adequately be able to provide guidance and nurturing. We have to understand the concept of rearing instead of raising, not instead of, but along with raising children. We have to have these extended families, the uncles and aunties and cousins and nieces and nephews serve as the support unit. And then we have to be able to have neighbors and extended families at the church, extended families at the mosque, extended families at the school, to help nurture and guide and direct young people. And I'm saying all that to say this. If we don't, Brother Rich, we're going to continue to suffer. And as long as we've been growing up with this same dilemma that you just asked about, this single-parent household, I'm tired of hearing these women sticking their chests out like they're men, talking about they can do it on their own. No, you can't. Stop that. It's foolish. We have to be able to get along with one another to have these family units. And even if you understand what the Asians do, Brother Rich, even if they're not getting along in the house, they will stay in the house long enough to see their children of age. You understand what I'm saying? Keep it peaceful. They will just see their children through. Some of our people do that, and I take my hat off to them, and I applaud them, Brother Rich. Not enough of us do that. Not enough of the uncles step in and the aunties step in. All right? This whole idea of a Jegna program, which is a mentor, but we don't use the word mentor. We need more Jegnas. We need more brothers stepping up to the plate. This is why, Brother Rich, I'm sorry I'm long-winded, this is why they join gangs. Because gangs have been a part of the popular culture ever since the dawn of time. I don't know what goddamn dawn of time they talking about, but however, lately, gangsters, I ain't talking about Al Capone and the rest of them Jews that was hiding behind them funny-looking goddamn hats and them names, trying to play it up like they're Italians. A lot of them were Jews. Meyer Lansky and some of them characters. Those were Jews. They weren't Italian. But lately, gangsters turned from outcasts to role models. Ain't that some shit? Black rappers have taken the name of Italian gangsters to further that gang mentality. Look, Capone and Noriega and some of these cats. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I love them brothers, and they know that. I'm not saying anything about them. But it was a trend. It was a trend in hip-hop for you to take on the Italian gangster name because you wanted to appear tough. You understand what I'm saying? But thanks to the modern portrayal of gangs as groups of cool, rebellious, youth-defying authority, teens fantasize and idolize becoming the margins of society. Parents, scholars, and religious people wonder, why do people join gangs? Well, shit, I'm going to stop there in this article. Let me stop there by asking a damn question. Why the hell your ass join fraternities and sororities? Why are you a Democrat or a Republican? We could easily ask those questions. There was a group of brothers that was defending themselves back in the day, post-slavery, called the Deacons of Defense. Right. Were they gangs? So the main reasons why they say young people join gangs, Brother Rich, is A, unemployment. This is the lack of satisfying jobs for young people combined with poverty and social isolation are the factors that precipitate to young people joining gangs. Not only would gangs provide youth with security and secure employment from hefty payment by joining gangs because of the criminal activity in the gang, the danger behind underemployment and unemployment is not just a lack of money or Social Security. It increased the number of unemployed men and women, and it raises the suicide rate and so on and so forth. They don't have to worry about money. They join a gang. If their gang members come off, of course they're going to share it with them. They're going to hang out and look out for them. You understand what I'm saying? Mm. The second reason is gangs provide a sense of fellowship and brotherhood. That's what the Q dogs provide, right? Yeah. That's what the Masonic provide. Those are damn gangs. It says, number 3, looking for basic human need. It's a survival mechanism. I got to survive. You understand what I'm saying? I got to link up with my crew so I can survive. Gangs are mainly compromised of youth that have something in common. A lot of them are poor. A lot of them like the same music. A lot of them eat the same food. A lot of them have the same habits. They think the same, feel the same about society and their family. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And a lot of them, come together and come up with ingenious ways to get easy money. You can't just join a goddamn gang. You got to go through the ritual now. Well, ain't that the same thing the Masonic order do? You got to go through the ritual to get in? Ain't that the same thing the fraternities and sororities do? You got to go through the ritual to get in. Mm-hmm. Number 4, desire for protection and safety. If you live in these neighborhoods where people are preying on one another, originally some of the gangs formed to protect themselves from white people. Shit. From white police officers. And then white police chiefs and sheriffs caught on to it, and they started using the gang to get information. A lot of them became snitches. Number 5, peer pressure. The whole idea of this peer pressure, you not fitting in. You understand what I'm saying? And then the whole idea of peer pressure comes in many forms: intimidation, dares, the whole idea of begging, friendly persuasion, threatening, coercion, harassment, bullying. America went on a goddamn campaign. Stop bullying. What the hell are you going to put on the front of Time magazine and Newsweek magazine and XXL? Stop bullying when your ass is the biggest bully on the goddamn planet, America. You've been bullying countries and nations. Donald Trump is a goddamn bully. That's why so many people like him. Last but not least, identifying and self-expression. We already went over that, in seeking prestige and social status. I remember that time. I'm sure you do, Brother Rich. Women like hardcore, thugged out niggas. I'm going to say that again, black woman. Y'all went through a period where y'all like straight up niggas, hardcore, thugged out dudes. Plain and simple. I remember a few women told me that. You too nice. Your hair too goddamn curly. Your ass look too through. You ain't hard enough. You ain't thugged. I want a bad boy. You understand what I'm saying? And we went through that period. Now, those women got pregnant by them dudes. Those dudes ended up in jail. And that next crop of young men grew up without that man in the home. And then we ended up producing cats like Lil Wayne and the rest of these cats who end up, what they are. I don't want to call Lil Wayne out. I saw him a couple of weeks ago. He looked at me like, I could take this nigga. But I'm only playing.
Well, you know,
but anyway.
So you said some interesting things, Professor Griff. One of them being one of the reasons why people like Donald Trump is because he's a bully, and number two, there was this stage of black women, and it still goes on with a lot of black women today, where they like a certain type of aggressive gangster dude, street dude, and I guess what I want to ask is, what's up with America's infatuation with gangsters? You see, I mean, like the movie Scarface, you mentioned Donald Trump. The Sopranos was like one of HBO's biggest hit series when they had the like you said, the so-called Italian gangsters. The whole, I mean, just from not just blacks. I mean, all races just seem to be infatuated with the gangster. So, are there traits of a gangster that you see that you be like, damn, he's a gangster, but that's a bad motherfucker, yeah, man. Like, what's the traits about a gangster that all races seem to like, Professor Griff?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm guilty, Brother Rich. I don't know if you can see me, but I got my hand in the air. I'm guilty. That would be me, man. But I'm a cross between the infatuated guy that is infatuated by gangsters and ninjas. So I could be that ninja gangster dude.
Okay.
I feel I can operate as a one-man army, but if I connected with cats like me, yeah, we would beat them dudes. You understand what I'm saying? But I'd have to be the smooth, low-key gangster kind of dude. I can't be the flamboyant dude. I got to be very low-key. You understand what I'm saying? But the thing that drew me was the courage, was able to organize men and move and make things happen. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
This is why I wasn't attracted to the flashy gangster. I was attracted to the quiet. What was the name of that movie, man? Road to Perdition? Was that it? Tom Hanks. You gotta check that movie out. He was a smooth gangster, man.
Okay.
You understand? Real smooth. He was an assassin. Real smooth. Just kind of know how to handle that business. You understand what I'm saying? But he lived a normal life. I want to be able. I remember back in the day, man, when I was growing up, we always used to threaten people, man. When phone calls were a dime, remember? I'm gonna drop this dime, man. I got 10 people up here. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
and that was the case, especially my family. Shit, there was 13 of us, Brother Rich. So that was actual fact in my family. You understand what I'm saying? But there was a fascination about how they got the respect, Brother Rich. It was a fascination on how gangsters had this way where they provided for the community. And the people in the community had respect for the gangsters simply because they didn't necessarily love them, they feared them. And this is, that was the attraction, because it's all I grew up ever wanting. You too? Respect. We grew up in an era, remember that era? We said, yo, man, don't diss me. That was famous. Remember? And if somebody dissed you, it was on, man. Yo, that motherfucker dissed you. That's almost like it was a fight after that. You understand what I'm saying? And when we said that, Brother Rich, Dr. Joy Leary said it beautifully and masterfully. She said respect. Re means to bind back to, and Professor Smalls broke it down also. Re means to bind back to. Specto means to look again. So when you're talking about respect, all you're asking that person to do is to look at me again. I apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. Just look at me again. I'm just asking for a little bit of respect. Aretha Franklin said it. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. All I want is some respect, man. That's it. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that became a big thing with us. So that gangster showed us, especially when the black exploitation films came out in the 70s, it showed us how to be a gangster. Damn, man, you watched 10 of them movies, you took a fucking crash course on how to be a black gangster.
Right.
And some of them did it, Brother Rich, and did it well. I'm not going to mention no names of some of those cats that ran Harlem, man. Nicky Barnes and some of them other cats. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you know, it's critical, man, but the infatuation over it, especially in hip-hop, oh, my God, the movie Scarface, yo, it did so much damage to the psychology of young black men coming up in hip-hop. They took the name Scarface, they took the ways and actions, they took, you know, the whole vibe of Al Pacino, man, and that ran and permeated a lot of people's mentality in the hood, and especially in hip-hop.
Yeah.
Then when you go to the mall, you see the poster with the hat, the cigar, and the gun in the poster. And people bought the shit and took it all and put it up in their room. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
No, you know what I'm saying. It's right, Brother Rich. Come on, man.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
We was infatuated, man, with Al Pacino playing Scarface because he came from nothing. He built him an empire, and he came up with his crew. That was the infatuation, man. Well, at least it was one of mine. Godfather, the Godfather films came out when the Italian gangsters was on the small and the big screen, when the Untouchables. You understand what I'm saying? When especially when the Chinese gangs came out. You remember the Warriors? Warriors, come out to play. When that movie came out, oh man, Brother Rich. To this day, I'm gonna tell you straight up, this shit is funny. To this day, me and my crew, the S1Ws, we still do that same shit today, and that's stuck with us since the Warriors. You're like, what the hell are you talking about, Griff? You remember the whistle? The Warriors?
Yeah.
It went like this. Me and the S1W still do that shit today.
Oh,
when we know we got to go take care of that business, that's our call. That's what we do. That's embarrassing. But anyway, I'm a grown-ass fucking man.
Well, let me ask you this, Professor Griff. You mentioned a lot of times in the neighborhoods, the gangsters are feared. So I want to bring up a quote from Niccolo Machiavelli and get your opinion on it. Niccolo Machiavelli, I hope I'm saying his name right, said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." A lot of people agree with that, Professor Griff. They feel like this is a cold world, and that you kept mentioning respect. The best way to get respect in this cold world they feel is to be feared. So with that being said, Professor Griff, what's your opinion on this quote from Machiavelli?
Well, I'm not going to give you my opinion on how I feel about it, but let me say this, man. When I heard that quote in a movie, it made me sit up, man. I'm watching a movie with the sister. I'm like, can I rewind that? And you know what movie that was? A Bronx Tale. A Bronx Tale.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
Classic movie, man.
Yeah.
A Bronx Tale. And I'm like, wow, that was deep, man. Would you rather be loved or feared? And he broke it down masterfully, man, in A Bronx Tale. And that young guy in that movie, Cologino, he says, "Don't call me Cologino, Dad. They call me C." "Well, your name is Cologino." "No, Dad, come on, Dad. You know what I'm saying, Dad." So he had to wrestle with his dad and go back and forth because he wanted to be respected in the hood. And his dad wanted to let him know, "Listen, man, I drive a bus. I work every day." You know, he says, "No, Dad. They told me that the working man is a sucker." He says, "No, what they're doing down at that bar, they're suckers. The working man is the man." You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And Cologino, and he called him C. He says, "Nah, the working man is a sucker. I'm trying to get mine." Until he went to school and fell in love with a black woman. And I guess she taught him some valuable lessons, taught him how to be cool, gave him some swag, and he ain't want to hang out with the white Italian dudes around the way anymore. You understand what I'm saying? But his mentor, the gangster dude, he had witnessed his mentor shoot somebody in the dome, man. You understand? At the end of the movie, the son of the dude that he shot grew up and ended up shooting him in the head. So the question now becomes, would you rather be loved or feared? Let me tell you something, Brother Rich. Them people they don't love you. Because you will die. They'll cry a couple of crocodiles at your funeral, but when they hit the street, they're going to step right up in your spot. Get your connects, get your girl, like they did in Scarface. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's very real. And so that quote, Brother Rich, when you say it, that's what came to mind. And that whole story that Robert De Niro played out in his film A Bronx Tale came to mind, because those were some valuable lessons from a young boy coming up in the Bronx, protecting his quote-unquote turf, so to speak. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
One other scene in the movie was he was at the local bar on the corner. Motorcycle club came through. A motorcycle gang came through looking all tough. And they said they wanted some beers. So they was causing a ruckus in the club. And, the main gangster came up and said, you can have some beers, but just, buy the beers and kind of get your beers and go. Man, they started getting the beers and causing a ruckus. That gangster, the head of the little mob in that bar, took the key, locked the door. He said, "Now you guys can't leave." And they put it on the motorcycle. And that was the attracting thing to me, how they can handle their business, lock down their turf, run a business, teach young men in the neighborhood. And I think that's the attractive quality. We're all attracted to power, Brother Rich, especially women. They don't want no weak dude that ain't running shit with his mouth. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They want someone that can take care of some business. I hope I answered your question.
No, definitely. You got me going through the movie in my mind. I was going through that scene in my mind when they went into the club, the biker gang. So that was definitely a great example of that right there. Like, definitely a great example. Now, Professor Griff, I guess let me see. I think I got about one or two more questions. In terms of young black males and let's just say young males and young females, a lot of people feel as though females have a rites of passage as far as their Sweet 16, and they get celebrated a lot as a teenager. Some people feel as though there should be a male version of a Sweet 16. And we don't have that. Most of the time, instead of the Sweet 16, the brother gets a sentence on Rikers Island or something like that, and that ends up being his rites of passage into manhood. Do you feel as though there should be the male version of a female Sweet 16 just to bring a young brother into manhood?
I think, Brother Rich, I don't think it should be a Sweet 16. I think the whole idea.
What do the Jews? What they have? What's that called? A bar mitzvah or something like that? Don't they?
Yeah, they do. But that's what I was about to say. When you come into manhood, it's normally at the age of 12 or 13.
Okay.
From 12 to 13. In some African societies, it's probably at 11, between 11 and 14.
Mm-hmm.
You're already a man.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't do the things that we think men should do in this society, because there's still that rites of passage. And we know and understand in ancient Kemet, you went to school until you were 40, but you lived longer back then. So yes, Brother Rich, we should have something in every family that when that son goes from 12 to 13, he has to go through a rites of passage. Anthony Browder, I believe, had a rites of passage. There was a few brothers and sisters in different African traditions that do have a rites of passage. But it needs to be in every single family. It needs to be that rites of passage. Bringing that young boy into manhood and teaching him how to be a man. You have to go through the rites of passage. You have to sit with the uncle. You have to sit with the dad. You have to sit with the grandfather. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You have to go through those tests. You have to go through those tests that every boy should go through in order to even be a man. Hell, you have to be asked, what is it to be a man? And you have to learn that. But too many of us end up in juvenile detention centers, jail, you understand what I'm saying, or gangs, Brother Rich, as our rites of passage, living in America as young black males. Fortunately, I was in the cadets. Fortunately, well, thanks to my mom and my older brothers. Fortunately, I was in the Nation of Islam at a young age. Fortunately, I shouldn't say fortunately for this next one. I was in the Army. I was military police. I was a correctional specialist. Fortunately, I've had the discipline. Fortunately, I had brothers like Pop Diesel from the S1Ws who taught me martial arts. Fortunately, I had brothers around me that looked out for me, that helped me through my quote-unquote rites of passage. Fortunately, I had Stevie Lloyd who taught me African drum. Fortunately, I had people like that surrounded me. I had an extended family where I didn't have to run with a crew and sell drugs and do all those things. But that's little old Professor Griff. Everybody's not afforded that luxury, Brother Rich. Trust me, they're not. So to answer your question, yes, we need a rites of passage for all black men from 12 to 13, and then they need to go through another rites of passage into quote-unquote manhood when they turn 18.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the last question, when I was, just doing some research on this story and looking at the origin of gangs and, the Reaganomics and that whole era in the 80s and the Bloods and the Crips, one word that I've seen come up a couple of times in different articles in reference to black men was this term hyper-masculinity. And in some of the articles, they were saying that black men suffer from hyper-masculinity, where black men try too hard to try to exert their masculinity or to try to be tough or, just to try to too much involved with their ego. What do you think about this term, hyper? Because I haven't heard much about this term. But what do you think about this term being associated, it seems like, specifically with black men?
I think that we're not hyper. I don't think our masculine qualities are should be looked at as being exaggerated. We're well endowed. We have muscles. We have a God-like structure. You understand what I'm saying? We have the ability to activate and use the whole part of our brain. We can activate the 7.5 brain cells that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we have, as compared to the 6 ounces of brain cells that this devil has. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not hyper-masculinity. We're the norm. It's just that everybody else is less than out. That's wrestling. They need to catch up. You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about the dude with the pink penis. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So we're the norm. But in order for us to make us look like we're inferior, they have to call us hyper-masculine.
Okay.
The young black child sitting in school, fidgeting and all that kind of stuff, he's fucking bored. The slow-ass learning, he got to sit next to Tommy and Billy. You understand what I'm saying? And all he's learning about is white people, he's bored. He's not hyper. He's very masculine. We learn different. We have different rhythmic patterns in how we learn. We want to be outside learning. You understand what I'm saying? We want an extended lunch and play period because we want to get some of that energy out of us. You understand what I'm saying? We want to be challenged. This madness in the classroom don't challenge young boys, so we bounce it off the goddamn walls. So we're not hyper-masculine. Some people listening to this interview might say, damn, Griff, as soon as Brother Rich asks you a question, your ass is on 10. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
I gotta speak this way because I'm trying to reach a certain part of the black man that I know some stuff is laying dormant in him, and I'm trying to connect with it. But check this out, Brother Rich. When you asked that question, you know what came to mind? What? Do you remember the slave codes that was designed to oppress and humiliate black people.
Yeah.
One of the black codes was this. Blacks were prohibited, from reading and writing. Can you imagine that? That you got fined if you got caught reading.
Right.
Got an ear cut off or something, man. They had no slaves reading law. What the fuck?
Crazy. Yeah.
We was restricted from traveling, Brother Rich. We couldn't go nowhere. And guess what, Brother Rich? Black people do that today. I meet black people that ain't never left Decatur, Georgia. I was talking about a music store that was in Cobb County. These brothers said, man, shit, I don't go to Cobb County. Well, why not? Well, shit, I don't know, man. I'm from Decatur. God damn. I'm from Long Island, man. I went to the Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, Staten Island, Yonkers, Mount Vernon, Philly, Jersey, Newark. You know what I'm saying? Upstate New York, Ithaca, other places, man. There was a legal imbalance law, or imbalance, meaning that if the enslaved person accused of a crime, by any crime, against a white person, it was akin to a death sentence. Rejecting slavery was a crime punishable by death, Brother Rich. You couldn't reject slavery. You didn't own your own body. You was prohibited from marrying someone. This is black bodies were completely commodified. You didn't even own your own body, Brother Rich. Slaves were prohibited from owning arms. You couldn't even defend yourself, Brother Rich.
Yeah.
And the number one slave code that I think affects black people today, this is why we lock up in gangs, is the fact that they had a code, Brother Rich, and it said there was no congregating of black people. If they caught 2 or 3 of us together, they're like, hey, break that up over there. Move along. You understand what I'm saying? You know why? Because they thought we was planning something. You understand what I'm saying? When they caught 3 or 4 of us together, they thought we was planning an escape or something on the plantation. They thought we was singing them damn songs, we was plotting their death. Shit, and we was. But I'm just saying. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but these are the laws that they put on us, Brother Rich. Do you realize, Brother Rich, back to your original question, by the end of Ronald Reagan's term, 138 of Reagan administrators and officials have been convicted or indicted on charges. 138.
Wow, that's a high number. Wow.
And then by the end of the damn term, the latest number was 225. He had some goddamn criminals on his staff.
Yeah.
You know why, Brother Rich? George Carlin says they want to put the street criminal away so the business criminal can thrive. They're against street crime as long as it's not Wall Street, he said. This is good. We got to check out George Carlin and what he said, man. You understand what I'm saying? And it was very critical. And Gary Webb blew the lid off of some of these military thugs and these government gangsters. He says most people that are against abortion are the same people you wouldn't want to fuck anyway, Brother Rich. And George Carlin was right. These same people that put those kind of laws. Did you hear what Trump? I read that because I wanted to make a smooth transition into my next point about what Donald Trump said today on the news. Punishing women for getting abortions.
Yeah.
George Carlin said most people that are against abortion are the same people you wouldn't fuck anyway. Them people ain't getting pregnant. They too goddamn ugly. You understand what I'm saying? America's pathology is her denial, Brother Rich. I'm going to say this again, and I've said this before. America's pathology is her denial. They got the old double standard going on in politics right now. And that old double standard, according to George Carlin, he says, is you say one thing and you do another. This country was founded by slave owners who wanted to be free. So they had to enact laws and codes that kept this perpetual slavery mentality going. George Carlin said, look at the national anthem. Most of us don't know it if you're black. You understand what I'm saying? But if you sing the whole song, they talk about bombs bursting in air and bombs and rockets and all that kind of stuff. These people are violent. This is why they can easily come up with mandates and all this kind of madness. Talk about the war on drugs, the war on education, the war on crime, the war on this, the war on abortion, the war on whatever. Because they're warlike people. They've been at war ever since they've been on the planet, Brother Rich. And in the book, Behold the Pale Horse, and this is my last point, William Cooper said the government encouraged the manufacturing of and importation of military firearms for the criminals to use. They was making the damn guns and putting it in the community. He says this was intended to foster a feeling of insecurity, which would lead the American people to voluntarily disarm themselves by passing laws against firearms. And they're doing that right now as we speak. So thank you, Ronald Reagan, Ronald Wilson Reagan, 666, the devil himself, using the drugs and hypnosis on mental patients in a process called Orion. The CIA inculcated the desire in these people to open fire on schoolyards and inflame these particular lobbyists and these people to enact laws and put laws on the books and ban guns. And this is what Barack Obama signed off on it recently. They're always attacking the Second Amendment. They're going after the guns. And I'm telling you, man, and I'm going to give the people a homework assignment. Look up the Second Amendment and Hillary Clinton and what she has in store for us if she becomes the president. Okay. That dude is going to change some things. I'm telling you, man. You talk about you can't own a gun now. They're going to go door to door taking your guns from you. For real. And we have the right to resist. Plain and simple. But anyway, Brother Rich.
Definitely gonna look that up. Hillary Clinton and the Second Amendment, y'all. Please make sure you look that up because I'm surely am after this interview. But yeah, another great show, man. I appreciate your feedback on this topic here, man. I definitely always learn a lot. I know you got a lot coming up. Tell the people once again, or all the lectures you got coming up, anything that's going on, so the people could show support.
Well, some people said, Griff, you be telling us about too many damn lectures. We can't keep up. This weekend, I'll be at the Cultural Connection in Chicago on Saturday at 1 o'clock. The Cultural Connection in Chicago this Saturday from 1 to 5 in the Chi. I'm hooking with my brothers and sisters in the Chi to make it happen. I'll be there Sunday also at some undisclosed location. So y'all got to call me, 678-557-2919. And then the weekend after that, Brother Rich, on the 8th and the 9th, I'll be in San Antonio, Texas with Public Enemy on the 8th. And on the 9th, I'll be with Brother Darren Muhammad at the Blacks and Wax Museum in Baltimore, Maryland. We're going to be talking about the ballot and the bullet. Check this out. Did you see the statue that they put together of Dr. Francis Cress Wilson?
No, I did not see it, no.
It's at the Blacks and Wax Museum. I want people to come on by and take a tour of the Blacks and Wax Museum with me so we can see the statue the wax figure, that statue that they put up of Dr. Francis Cress Wilson at the Blacks and Wax Museum in Baltimore on April 9th. Professor Griff and Darren Muhammad, we're going to be talking about the ballot or bullet. Well, people can reach me at seriousminds.info@gmail.com. They can hit me at 678-557-2919. I'm on Facebook at Facebook.com/Enemy Minds. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Serious Minds, and Brother Rich. We are on the move with the film. We put up the GoFundMe. It's GoFundMe/Artifactual. So help support the film. We're underway. We got an editor. We got a beautiful team out of Phoenix, Arizona that's going to edit it for us. We're going to get it shot. We have a few commitments from some brothers and sisters that's going to be a part of the film, Brother Rich. And it's going to be a beautiful task, man. I'm looking forward to getting it done. Remember, GoFundMe/Artifactual. Donate to the film so we can get this thing knocked out so I don't disappoint Brother Rich. Check this out, Brother Rich. We mentioned the film, and we already got a screening already in February.
Wow.
I know, right?
Man, that's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah. Y'all working. That's what's up. Y'all working. You know what you could do too, if you want. I'm gonna put the link up, and if you want, you could make like you know how when you was doing your rehabilitation, you sent me a little 2-minute video. If you want to send me a 2-minute video for the GoFundMe and for the film, I could throw it up on the channel so people can really get a good visual of what you got going on. So
all right, cool.
If you do want to do it, I'll definitely throw it right up. But for this show and for every other show, I'm definitely gonna put the link in the description bar for the GoFundMe. Y'all make sure you support that. It's gonna be amazing. So yeah, man, thanks for that. And I'm gonna throw up the flyers to the other lectures you said. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank Professor Griff for joining us once again. This is Brother Rich, Underground Railroad Radio, and we signing out, family. We gonna see you next time. Peace.
Peace.